We are in the MK7.5 Golf GTI, and you can just about see there the MK7.5 Golf R, which we'll try in a second too. But yeah, very grateful to the subscribers to have another opportunity in this car. Weather is not so great, but yeah, it's more for you guys just on the view to see which ones you kind of prefer, which ones you like. You know, it's always quite interesting. And I was surprised actually, because I got so many comments, and a lot of people really did say when I was driving this car, oh, what about the 7.5, what about the 7? I am a Mark 7 owner, so that's, yeah, obviously I've kind of put my money where my mouth is on that front. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the owners, got an Instagram as well, I'll pop it on, of his MK7.5 Golf R, the DSG. But this is the 8.5, this is the latest and greatest. I'm still yet to see one on the road, and it's cool to be yeah, back behind the wheel of it. I love sort of being in, I love it in sport, I'm not gonna lie. But with the front wheel drive, it's gonna be quite interesting in these conditions to see what the car is like too. Obviously there's 4Motion in the R, and we have got the MK7.5 R coming soon. We've got the MK7.5 R Black Edition. Quite a few subscribers have reached out to me, and actually I've already had 2 or 3 have actually offered me the opportunity to drive theirs when they appear, so that's very, very great, and yeah, looking forward to that too. But this is essentially, would I say the entry-level performance 8.5? Yeah, I probably would. But I always feel like with the GTI, there's nothing really like entry about it. It's such a premium, cool car to kind of be in. And yeah, a great car to kind of drive and to cruise around in. The owner's done about 600 miles now in the car, and economy sort of showing 46 miles per gallon, so getting up to speed. Yeah, we're free up in the car, and with the car being quite fresh, I'm really interested to know what things like, even just like the steering, all those kind of elements, what they're kind of compared to with the 7.5 to an 8.5. Engines essentially EA888, 2-litre petrol, with this being more of a latest generation, 265 horsepower. I don't know how much we're going to be able to put down today with the way the weather is with the front wheel drive. But it's holding up well, you just got to drive to the conditions. And actually, without, I mean, I can reiterate again, without dynamic chassis control, and I'll have to double check with the owner if his R has got dynamic chassis control, but it's it feels okay. It feels okay on passive. You know, it's really, really not too bad at all. Got a nice bath there with fully tinted out windows, sounding good. But yeah, this might be quite a good little way to just see. Oh, so smooth. You just kind of got to be progressive with the power with the front wheel drive lot. In terms of like the infotainment, we were setting stuff up before just to like demist the windscreen as well, because it's so wet and it will kind of fog up in here. Owner seems to be up to speed with how it all works. I think it would just take a little bit of time. It's certainly going to be interesting to see the infotainment with the 7.5 compared to this. But there's so much familiarities with both. They're instantly kind of recognisable as this kind of Golf generation. And I am a person where it's like, what more do you want than a VW Golf? And you've got the GTI, which is slightly more iconic, being around since the 70s compared to say like an R. But just really, really great platforms. And yeah, driving around in this, it feels really, really nice. It's actually quite quiet. Having driven it on these roads in a little bit drier conditions, to say the least, you might have seen my video on that. Yeah, it's holding it fine. You've just got to kind of drive to the conditions with front wheel drive. The steering, yes, it feels fine. I'm happy. You know, I'm not going to complain about being in the latest and greatest cars, but this is where it can get quite slippery. So yeah. So there you go, that's my kind of like slippery test, because you're under the trees, and yeah, it will kind of, yeah, lose a bit of traction. You saw the traction control light appear there, but yeah, it feels good. Gearbox as well, I'm actually quite interested to see the difference between the 7.5 and the 8.5. You know, that car being a 2017 car, this being a 2024 car, what have Volkswagen really done? You know, oh, and see, and as I say it, Ida comes on, and there it goes. Yeah, so really great to be back behind the wheel of this. I'll go on a little bit of a further drive, and we'll switch into the Mark 7.5 R and take things from there. But yeah, really excited to kind of be in this and just to get a feel for it. I think that's kind of the main part. The more time you spend in these cars, the more of a feeling and impression that you get from it. And you know, for reference, I had like, well, a 90-mile drive just up here in my Mark 7 R, so it's just interesting to see between the 7 and the 8. But yeah, I'm definitely smiling, even in these conditions. They're really smooth and easy cars to drive, and it makes a nice little burble with the exhaust. That's new. Yeah, so when you lift off between 3 and 4, I don't know how much the camera's going to pick up, you do get a nice burble. The nice little pops. And this is just a standard exhaust, there's no like a Krapovich or anything on it. And the owner's Mark 7.5 R has a resonator delete, which will just give it a little bit more noise. But other than that, it's completely standard. It's a 7.5, 306 brake horsepower, pre-OPF, pre-GPF car. But yeah, I'm enjoying, very much enjoying driving this car. And as the exhaust gets warmer, yeah, you get a few more pops and bangs. So yeah, really, really exciting on that. But yeah, let's switch into the Mark 7.5 and take things from there. So we're in the Mark 7.5 Golf R. There's the 8.5. Very interesting to do these back to back on the exact same route. This car doesn't have dynamic chassis control. It's on 18-inch wheels. It's a completely standard stock car, other than a res delete. As the fact, you straight away notice the resonator delete with the noise. But if it helps, my Mark 7 is standard exhaust and it does sound quite nice. But I love the burbles from the 8.5. So one of the parts of it is the new dash, and just chatting to the owner as well, just how the integration of it is, it's quite nicely set. Part of me does feel like, in a way, this is a bit more, I say peak Volkswagen. They just did so much with the 7 and then the 7.5. With the digital dash as well, digital dials, it sort of does bring it up a little bit. You know, being a 2017 car, it's trying, yeah, trying its best to essentially, well, yeah, look into the modern day with like 2024 cars essentially that we have going here. I've got a Kia Sportage behind me, and I'm going to say the R is going to be quite powerful with its four-wheel drive, 306 horsepower. Suspension feels fine. Steering wise, so we've got it in race mode. Yeah, it actually surprisingly feels a little bit different, more different to mine, which is very interesting. You feel certainly a lot more connected to the road. And in terms of like visibility and even sort of like road noise and initial things on that, there's not too much difference between this and yeah, and the 8.5, if I'm honest with you. You don't get that huge screen sticking there. I feel like I've got more visibility out the front. I say that with it being pretty horrendous. Oh, it's nice. Yeah, I feel, I mean, certainly compared to the GTI, I feel more confident in this. Oh, they're so smooth. It just puts down its power. Excuse the wiper blades if that's coming up on the audio. Got horses on the road as well. But yeah, actually, surprisingly, compliance-wise, I mean, I'll have to check with the owners afterwards. This feels really, I mean, slightly firmer than the Mark 8.5. But in terms of how things are kind of looking in here, yeah, it's really, really, really good. The one thing that R's do, and it's also the case with, which is going to happen with the 8.5 as well, is they're so capable, you kind of like, you don't know how fast you're going, and you can sort of not have as much connection as a result. Okay, resonated delete sounds amazing. The parp off the back with the DSG. Okay, I have a bigger smile in my face, I'm not gonna lie, with the noise. And completely ignore the comment that I just said, because this feels super connected, super engaging. But the steering, despite being in race mode, feels lighter than my Mark 7, which is just one thing. But it feels certainly heavier and more connected than the 8.5. Oh man, this car is just awesome. And I do like the graphics actually on the infotainment. It certainly looks, I mean, I look at it and don't think anything in terms of the resolution or anything being bad or anything worse compared to the 8.5. This feels plenty good enough. Wow. So you certainly get a lot more burbles, a lot more raw nature with the 7.5. Certainly pre-GPF, pre-OPF 2017 cars are really good, and the uprated power. And the gearbox, I would probably say, feels sharper. I mean, this is just me on my initial comparison, and it probably won't. Yeah, so there's no traction loss where the GTI lost traction. So if you're humming between an 8.5 GTI or an 8.5 R, you're gonna get the full traction with this. Oh, this is great. Volkswagen, they have the same thing, and it's the same on mine. Between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM, if you lift off, you get those little burbles, and it sounds fantastic. Definitely don't get bored with cars like this. And yeah, I don't know what more you can need in a Golf. I was out in my Mark 7 yesterday with like a group of 4 of us, and you know, they're not car enthusiasts, and we were just in eco, and I was just cruising, and they were like, this is the most comfortable cruisy car ever, and I was like, yeah, it can be. And this car can do the same. You can just go back, up hit the gears, and it's perfectly just easy to kind of get on with and drive. Just the pickup as well. But chatting to the owner, he mentioned as a passenger, so the owner of this R felt like the GTI had plenty of poke, and certainly for most people, it can get up to speed more than quickly enough. Yeah, the R is just... What an amazing car. And the truth is, in the UK, I mean, we've had pretty heavy thunderstorms. This is a car that, like, you can generally, I know, oh, let's go out for a nice Sunday morning drive. Well, even if it's like this, you can do it in an R, and it's great. The MPG is showing about 35 miles per gallon, so it's a little bit less than what you'd probably get in an R, but it does very much depend how you drive the car. In terms of like size, there's no difference. It's the same sort of width and sort of placement on the road between the 8.5 and the 7.5. As the rain gets a little bit heavier, it's probably a good time to yeah, I was going to say have a little bit of a conclusion outside, but I mean, it depends how much this rain stops. But as like a brief overview, I really love these 7s, and the 7.5 certainly brings things up a lot more into 2020, even 2024. You know, it feels modern. Everything is like easy to touch and to work. Paddles are good, just can't complain. And I love how the GTI still keeps some of that connection, particularly in modern day cars now, where we're just losing so much feel, and certainly for driving enthusiasts, we're losing a little bit of our touch. But yeah, that's a great opportunity to drive both the 8.5 and the 7.5 back to back. And this is a community channel, so please feel free to get involved in the comments, and yeah, I'll let you know my thoughts a little bit further. I don't know how many more shots we'll be able to get of the cars, but it's been, yeah, it's been great to kind of experience them. And anyone kind of thinking of getting a car, and my default answer to anyone is always get a Golf. And the GTIs, the Rs, the 7s, the 7.5s, the 8.5s, I can always recommend. I feel with the 8, they did have obviously some issues with the infotainment, and perhaps Volkswagen maybe let their guard down a little bit with some of their quality. The 8.5 really does feel like it's brought things back up. But this for me is like the daddy. The Mark 7 and the Mark 7.5 is what brings out the best in kind of the 8s. Big thank you to the two owners for coming down as well. I've got another video which I'm doing with the Mark 8.5 owner, just in terms of just an ownership review, just to sit, have a little chat, see how he is getting on with the car. So yeah, check that out.